402 Business Insider with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish on 1499.3 KLIN.
And good morning. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider, sponsored by Complete Family Dermatology. I'm Travis Filing with Transformation Marketing. With me, as always, Gary Tharnish from Home Design Real Estate Group. How you doing this morning?
I'm good.
Yeah? Just
Very
kind
good.
Of a nice, leisurely Sunday morning. Kind of just...
It's Sunday.
I know it.
Right? Sunday fun day.
Had basketball yesterday, and so we get moved to Sunday. I don't mind it.
That's
I
right.
kind of like it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just easy.
Huskers are doing well this year.
I know it.
It's crazy
I
great.
know it's this week we're talking with Troy Post. So Troy's an old friend of mine. We've known each other like 15 years, 20 years, something like that. It's been a long time. I
have a sympathy package for you. I can give to you a little later.
Yes, I've known
It's
Gary.
just standard.
I've known Gary for 30 years. So now you're once you hit the 20-year mark, you get to join the club. It's a sympathetic.
I'm in a club. That answers a lot. Okay.
Well, Troy is the reason I wanted to bring Troy in. I kind of been looking forward to this for a while. Is Troy used to own all the Papa John's in Nebraska. It was Cornhusker Papa John's.
Yum.
And I just wanted to talk to him about franchising, because franchises are one of those businesses where you can kind of jump in and go. But there's some good, there's some bad. I've been in a franchise. It was bad. But Troy, I know that, we've known each other forever. But give everybody just a little background. I knew you grew up out west in the Panhandle, and you got started in. Did you get started in the restaurant industry when you were young?
Yes, I did. I grew up in the Panhandle. I moved out east, like a lot of kids do from the west that are seeking opportunities. And I had attended a couple years of college, and I decided to move out here, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I started working in restaurants, and my first job here was at a well-known Mexican restaurant that's no longer here. I worked at Chi-Chi's and worked in the kitchen.
I remember Chi-Chi's. We had those back east.
I used to go there all the time.
Yeah, great food, but unfortunately, it didn't last, and I moved on, and I started working for a company called Boston Chicken, which eventually became Boston Market, and worked there for quite a while, and helped them open a store in Grand Island, and kind of was stuck in Grand Island for a few years, and eventually moved over to a company called Country Kitchen, which I don't know if there's many of those left anymore, but that was my full service career, which was a little bit different than quick serve restaurants. And then I ended up at Papa John's. They were coming into Nebraska. I met one of the owners, and I met our guy that I knew that I worked with before was going to work there, and he recruited me. And so I actually started as a manager in Grand Island, Nebraska, and they knew I wanted to move back to Lincoln. So I moved back to Lincoln and had some success running a couple of stores. And then I was a district manager for several years, and was given an opportunity to become a partner in the business. And so I decided I was going to take that leap, and it worked out well for me. And in 2015, the last partner in the business exited the business, and for the last about 8 years, me and my wife owned the business and ran the business. And it was very good to us. It was a lot of work, a lot of hours. You live the restaurant business, but we just thought it was a good time to get out and move on with our lives. And so we took a year off, and I'd never really taken any time off. So
that's weird. That's weird spot.
And it was challenging because I ran out of things to do really fast. And so we decided we wanted to do something else. And so now we have a small pet franchise that focuses on health and nutrition for your pets.
Yeah. And we had talked about that in our marketing when we did the marketing right around Christmas time.
Yeah. And now I'm very, very hungry. I want a chimichanga. I also want chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy, and green beans, and then the pizza. I'll do it.
Is Chi-Chi's still around? Chi-Chi's
You know,
in
so
Boston
that was a
Market? Are
franchise,
they
right?
gone? Yeah.
Chi-Chi's.
Yeah.
There's not one in Lincoln.
No, I
Has
know
been for
that.
years. But
Well, I
don't
know that they were trying to crowdfund it to bring it back, but I'm not sure what happened. But yeah, man, they had some great food, and that nacho bar, I think it was on like Thursday nights, maybe.
It was
you
so
know?
good.
Yeah, it was.
In
It was great.
Boston Market, I love that place as
Yeah,
well.
That was
Yeah.
good. It was kind of a
I always thought-
hometown. You know,
And I was
home-
thought I was getting a healthy lunch when I went there.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. But both of those are great examples of franchises.
Yeah.
And when you hit your wagon to a franchise, they can make or break you as well, depending on how the franchise is being run.
Yeah.
So that's
sure.
one of the drawbacks to being a franchise owner.
Restaurant business is tough, hard work.
It is.
When a busboy, a waiter, a cook at restaurants when I was much younger, but that is hard, demanding work, and the margins in that restaurant business are challenging.
Yeah, very challenging. It's a volume business, so
Yep.
you really have to have a lot of volume coming in, which makes a very high stress environment too.
Sure.
So
And a lot of turnover.
yeah,
There's a lot of turnover
Yeah.
because you're working with young people.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Delivery driver. I delivered pizzas when I was 16.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not a long-term job. So the turnover is incredible.
Yeah.
I know that was one when we were working together, was we did a ton of marketing just trying to find people to drop off pizzas for us,
Yeah.
and
And delivery is so different now. I mean, I don't know if any pizza places use delivery, but with all the DoorDash and Lyft and Uber and stuff like that, I wonder how that works. I do know a florist in town that uses Uber for all their deliveries, which
Oh,
I think
really?
is kind of interesting,
Mhm.
because delivering flowers is way different than delivering anything else because they're fragile.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they work it, but anyway, kind of interesting.
See, when we'd be in Cleveland, my son and I'd be in Cleveland, it's so bizarre. There's no pizza delivery in downtown.
You
Which
kidding?
is bizarre.
In
No.
downtown Cleveland,
Downtown, there is no pizza delivery, not at least on the weekends anyway.
give up your season tickets.
We are. We're talking about it. It is so painful.
That's terrible.
I mean, my goodness. But yeah, we ended up calling a place and then we had to have Uber deliver it. It took like an hour and 15 minutes by the time
get
the
a pi-
pizza
I'll
got
bet.
there. It was
I'll
cold.
bet.
I thought, "Ugh,
It's the
man,
worst of it.
that would be tough. Did you ever have Uber or any of those do delivery for you?
Oh, absolutely. We got into what they call the aggregator business real early on. I wasn't a huge fan at first, but right after that, COVID hit, and I tell you what, if it wasn't for DoorDash, we couldn't have stayed open because we didn't have enough delivery drivers, and
Right.
DoorDash provided us an opportunity to, and Uber Eats also an opportunity to service people and not have the stress of not having enough drivers. So it's a cost, but it was well worth it at the time. There was a lot of people at home and wanting our service. So it worked out really well. I know a lot of restaurants that do DoorDash. I talked to friends of mine in the business, and most of them have positive things to say.
I'm sure there's always going to be
Yeah.
drawbacks no matter what.
Yeah.
But how does it? Are they like 1099 employees? Are they? Do you have to pay just a fee for the delivery? How exactly does it work?
Oh, so like DoorDash and Uber both, if you want to use just their website and they'll take orders for you and send them to you, they charge a percentage, and that could be anywhere from 20 to 30% of your ticket. And then also DoorDash, during COVID provided us a service which we called DoorDash Drive, and we basically just summoned their drivers and we paid them so much per delivery to deliver our deliveries. And so DoorDash provided us a couple different options, and Uber Eats was pretty much just the, ordering on their website, and then they sent their drivers to get the pizza. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, you take a look now, everything is delivery now. I mean, you still deliver for pet food, don't you?
Oh
At
yeah.
once, yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything is delivery.
Yeah.
I mean, even out where we're at, Walmart delivers out to us.
Can you deliver alcohol yet here?
I don't know.
Like I know you
Do
can
you?
in Colorado.
Yeah.
Can you do it here?
Yeah, I think that changed during COVID, and
Yeah.
and that's stayed. So I know some people that had alcohol delivered, and my wife Instacarts because we're busy, and I'm pretty sure she's Instacarted alcohol before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one, just because you think alcohol, anybody, I mean, a 12-year-old could technically order it. I wonder how the delivery side of that works. That would be interesting to find out, because do you have to card somebody at the door? Because half the time
I don't know.
you just drop it off at the doorstep.
The first time I knew of it was when my daughter graduated from DU in Denver, and
Mhm.
we were at the party after graduation, ran out of alcohol, and their brother fraternity or whatever was there, and they were just on the phones. All I know is this guy pulls up and he's got cases of beer and alcohol, and I'm like, oh, is this one of your frat buddies? And I'm like, well, wait, can't be, because he looks like he's like 35. This is a real late bloomer. And they're going, oh, it's delivery. I'm like, wow, didn't know
So-
you could. And that was pre-COVID.
So there's no more going through the party to find the sober guy for a beer run.
Right,
You just-
exactly.
I actually kind of like that.
Mhm.
We should be asking David, because David's a college kid, right? do you guys get alcohol delivered to the campus, or
I never have, but it sounds cool.
no? Yeah. His parents must be listening. I don't
Hi,
believe
Ed.
it for a second. Well, we got a break coming up here. So real quick, I want to thank Western National Bank for being a sponsor. When opportunities pop up, timing matters. And Western National Bank, they're a relationship bank where decisions are made locally, helping businesses move faster when it counts. I remember when we were talking with John Barry about his book, Veteran Led,
Yep.
and he said time kills all deals, right? And years ago, there was an opportunity for me to buy some property across the street from me. It was like 13 acres for $140,000.
Jeez.
And I got to my bank, and of course, it was a big national bank, and it took so long to try and get things done. The property sold.
Sure.
You want to talk about a missed opportunity, and time kills all deals. So it is so important to have a local bank on your side. Go talk to them. Western National Bank, they are rooted in our local communities, serving businesses and families with experience and consistency. Learn more at mywnb.com. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider. I'm Travis Filing with Gary Tharnish, and today we're talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Wants and franchisee, excuse me. We're going to talk about franchising when we get back right after the break.
And
You're listening to the 402 Business Insider, sponsored by Starter Heyman Jewelers. And today our guest is Troy Post, owner of Pet Wants. And Troy's owned another business prior to that too, and give us some overview about franchises and how they work and how that all happens. So you start in the first segment, you kind of told us, history of your little work career, but how did you cross over from being a district manager at Papa John's, correct, to being
Correct.
a franchise owner? How did that come about?
Well, at the time, one of what we called the operating partner, which is one of the owners, he had passed away.
Okay.
And so there was one partner left in the business. Originally, there was three. And there was one partner left in the business, and he either had to sell the business or find a different operating partner. And so, I was pretty young at the time still, and he asked me if I was willing to give it a shot, and I told him, yeah, I'd give it a shot and see how it goes. And I tell you, he was a great mentor. That was something that I realized really quick, that I was very privileged to have such a great mentor to show me the business. This gentleman was the first franchisee of Pizza Hut.
Wow.
And it opened 42 stores in Mississippi. And so after he sold those, he took a little hiatus, and then he got into Papa John's.
Nice. So
What-
he had the
what-
experience.
Yeah. What was his name again?
Ed Purcell.
Ed. Okay. I remember Ed. He was the nicest man. I met him when I got together with Troy, we started doing marketing for Papa John's. And he stayed in Mississippi. He kind of helped you from a distance.
Yeah, he called maybe maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. And he came up about every 6 to 8 weeks and visited
Jeez, that's nice.
yeah.
Make a
And-
big difference.
And you guys had stores all over. You had Lincoln. You had when you started though. Because I'm trying to remember how many there were. There was Lincoln. There was Omaha. There was
Yeah, there was I believe 18 at one time when we had the smaller markets
mhm.
like Fremont and Grand Island, Hastings, Kearney, and then we had multiple stores in Omaha. So I think at that time there was probably 9 in Omaha.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and so as time went on, we figured out that we may have had too many stores in a small area, so we closed a few stores here and there.
Yeah.
And then as far as Kearney's still open. We sold it to the general manager, and he was the first employee we'd hired at that store in that was 1999.
Wow.
And
I have a franchise question. So, this, just because I simply don't know, is the gold standard that when you're buying a franchise, you buy a county and that's your county, or do you buy a city, or how does that work? Like, can there be more than one Papa John's franchisee in Omaha?
Well, yes. You can either buy what they call a territory.
Okay.
In most cases, you can buy up all the territories, or with Papa John's, you can do what they call market development. So you can buy whole markets, but then you're on a development contract where you have to open so many stores in so much time.
Okay.
And so that protects that area. As far as a lot of the other franchises now, they kind of figure out, what they think is household count or population count that will support that business, and that's how they determine, what that territory
Sure.
is. So,
Demographics, number of
Yeah.
homes, all of that. Sure. That make a big difference. Is that how it was in Lincoln? Like, did you buy Southwest Lincoln, or did you just get the whole territory?
we had
of,
the whole-
say, Lincoln, and then
we had the whole territory. At one time, we had the whole state of Nebraska.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that common in franchises? Do you know? Or can
Yes,
be, probably,
I
I
mean,
suppose.
It is. I don't know if it's as common now as it used to be, but if it's an underdeveloped market and you want to develop the whole state, I mean, most franchises will sell it to you.
Sweet.
So when you were at like Chi-Chi's and Boston Market, did you work directly with the franchisee? Were they local, or were they a distance away as an employee?
Well, with Chi-Chi's, I was very young. I was working in the kitchen. All I ever seen was the general manager, and that was
Sure.
not that often. But Boston Market was owned at one time out of Omaha, and so I did meet the franchisee at that time, and great guy, and he eventually sold it to a bigger company out of I believe it was Minnesota, but.
Did you learn much, working in those? It's tough because when you're young, it's just a job, right? Did you learn much from working in that industry and working with franchisees? Did you, like, this sounds stupid, but did you know it was a franchise? Did you know it was local ownership? Did you parse that?
Yeah, I don't know if I really connected those two at the time. All we kind of looked at was, those were corporate people,
Yeah.
Suits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. So now when you went back to you started at Papa John's, you went to Grand Island, right?
Well, I was in Grand Island when I was hired on there at the Grand Island store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was the store existing, or did you guys open it?
We opened it.
So you were like employee number one.
Yeah, I
so
was
to
one of the
speak.
first employees, and we opened that store.
So that had to be a wealth of knowledge of learning how, hey, the ovens are coming in and here's the layout, and start building it. Is there anything that that really stood out to you in that said, oh, this is how you open a restaurant or open a franchise?
Well, probably at that time I was a little overwhelmed because there was a lot of stuff that had to happen. And I wasn't making those decisions. But, as time went on, I did open some stores myself. And it's a lot of work, but Papa John's, they did a lot of the work for you. They gave you a checklist of what you needed to do, who you needed to call, and kind of a timeline. So, that was very helpful.
Because I mean, time is of the essence, because
Yeah.
you're paying, money is going out and not coming in the beginning. You're trying to build a store, you're trying to get it open, you're trying to market it, you're trying to do all these things so that we can start stop the bleeding, so to speak.
Yeah. Is the build out pretty much set for you? Like, this is where we want you to have your windows where you pass out the pizza. This is where we want the kitchen to be. Is that pretty much done for you? Like, I think of in building houses, I'm helping people build a house right now. We just have the plan and then you make little adjustments. Is it kind of like that, or are you going to make all those choices?
Well, we didn't do a lot of freestanding buildings. And so basically we would go into a market, we
Strip
would
mall.
look at what was for lease, and then we would submit that to, corporate, and they would tell us whether, that was a good location, if that fit within the plan. And then they would help us figure out, how everything fit in there.
Did you have any buildings that you owned when you sold, or were they all pretty much leased?
No, we explored that option, but we figured that, that we wanted to be good at running restaurants and
Right.
not,
Real estate.
have to worry about real estate.
Makes sense.
See, and we had talked to Seven Brew, Alex Carney, and they had a real interesting concept where everything is prefabbed.
Mhm.
I mean, they roll it in, they drop it off the truck, and
Yeah.
they're off to the races, which I think is fascinating. I would imagine they own, I can't remember because it's been a while since we did it, but I imagine they
Seven
own the
Brew.
business or own the
Yeah.
building, but not the land, is my guess.
Lease the land, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never really got into that with him, but it would be kind of interesting to know.
Yeah.
So curious. So you open Papa John's, pretty soon you have all these Papa John's all throughout Nebraska. Are they appreciated in value for you? So in other words, let's say you pay X number of dollars for the franchise, you build it up. When you sell it for the market value at that time, and it increases like any other business would, as long as you're running it properly. How does that work? I've never really asked anybody that. I mean, I assume it has to, but does that work well?
Well, there's two ways to really sell a franchise, and that's to sell, the assets in the business.
Okay.
And usually you would do that if the restaurant is, break even or not making money. But that it depreciates so much that that's not
Sure.
a great sale. If a restaurant's really successful, then you start looking at multiples of profit, and that's why it's really important to know when to get out. And
Right,
when's a
sure.
good time to sell.
Have a good exit strategy.
Yeah,
Probably start that right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And know where you're headed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a break coming up here, so we're going to run to that. Quick thanks to our sponsor, Mendoza Family Insurance. Insurance, it's so important, either in business or personal insurance. And Mendoza is one of those agencies that actually picks up the phone when you call. They know you by name. They do home, they do auto, they do business. They help you understand what you're buying and not just sell you a policy. Learn more at MendozaFamilyInsurance.com. That's MENDOZA FamilyInsurance.com. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Once. And we'll have more about buying a franchise when we get back.
You're listening to the 402 Business Insider, sponsored by Red Rhino Roofing. Today we're talking franchising with Troy Post, owner of Pet Once. And Troy, so the first franchise you purchased is the Papa John's franchises, correct?
correct.
And what should people look for when they're buying a franchise? What did you look for? I mean, you were already working there, I suppose, so you had a good feel about it. But what prompted you to go ahead and buy it and feel like that was a good move?
Well, I think there's a number of factors, and right now there is just there's so many franchises. It's become a big deal. A lot of people want to get out on their own and start their own business, and a franchise is a good opportunity to do that.
Sure.
But I think you have to look at is the business a proven model? Have they had success with this business, in other markets, and how many businesses do they have? If they're just franchising off of one business, I don't know if that tells you a whole lot, because that could just be, the location. But there's a lot of what we call due diligence that goes into it. You have to ask a lot of questions. Some of them you get answered, some of them you don't. Um, I think it's good to have a lawyer involved, somebody local that so they can read through franchise agreements, because franchise agreements are very lengthy,
I'll bet.
and they're not written for laymen.
Most
Yeah.
law, it's like 15th century. Let's get way away from that. Okay.
Yeah.
Put it into Walmart for all of us to
Yeah.
understand.
Yes,
That's what I always say. Wouldn't it be
exactly.
so nice? I sometimes have to go back to the first page and go, who am I here? Am I this word or that word? Or yeah, let someone else handle that.
Well, it's funny because go ahead.
I have a question too about franchises. So you had stated that you ended up with franchises all throughout Nebraska. So is it the same cost for a franchise in Southwest Lincoln, for example, where you have a dense population, the demographics, maybe data shows that people eat out a lot or eat a lot of pizza, and then you buy a franchise in Alliance, Nebraska, where there's much less population? So I mean, just the odds of the amount of business you're going to have, is that how do you buy like it's this much for the franchise here and this much for the franchise way out west where there's less population?
Well, that's a good question. When we first got into it, it was the same cost no matter what.
Really?
And
See,
so
that surprises me.
that's we really struggled in like rural markets.
I'll bet.
And we actually closed a few of those, but now those markets are back open. And some of that's because people know who Papa John's is. But also they came out with a different franchise model for smaller towns,
Makes sense.
which cut the cost down.
Sure.
And, so that was very helpful.
Yeah.
But your territories are also based on population. So if you were like going to open up a Papa John's in Manhattan, you might cover 10 blocks or
Yeah.
I mean, that's just off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
it would probably be a pretty small
Well,
footprint.
I know you don't want to open one in downtown Cleveland.
no,
I mean, there's something about downtown Cleveland. I'm not
Nobody's
sure
there.
what it is, but
Just
you
me.
should know
I'll buy a pizza from you, but that's it. Yeah.
every football season.
One thing that kind of startles me these days, it seems like everybody with a decent business idea is turning it into a franchise opportunity, and they don't have their bona fides. They don't have here's Papa John's a great example. We all know what Papa John's is. You like it, you don't like it, whatever it is, you go, okay, I know who they are. So if I'm in wherever, Savannah, Georgia, I would order it because you're comfortable with it.
Sure.
But when you look at other franchises, I mean, I had the Cabin as a great example. I opened up the Cabin. It's a cool concept. I had 2 or 3 people go, we should turn this into a franchise. What are you talking about? It's a golf simulator in the middle of nowhere, right? And in a small town.
Yeah.
It's an idea. Why would you need me to do it? And when you sold Papa John's, you were starting to look around at franchise opportunities, and you probably ran into more than I have seen. I mean, are you seeing a lot of that? Just everybody and their brother is selling a franchise opportunity?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's become such a big business. And, we've talked about this before, Trav, that a lot of times they're selling an idea and it's not exactly proven. So, then you run into issues later down the road. This franchisor is selling something that really is not a proven business plan, and then you got to figure it out yourself. And you feel like, what am I paying for here? But
I'll bet.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
become a huge business. If you look out, like on LinkedIn, and you look at the franchises available, most likely you're going to have to go through what they call either a franchise consultant, a franchise broker, or a franchise advisor. And they're all the same thing. They're basically salesmen for franchises.
Right.
And they're incentivized really well to sell that franchise. And so, you really have to understand who those people are and that they're trying to sell you that franchise. So you got to do your research Because if you just believe what they say, you're not going to find all the answers that you need.
And they'll tell you exactly what you want to hear. Like in our instance, we bought a coaching franchise, right? And it seemed like such a perfect fit because we'd been in business at the time for like 20 years. And Shannon is very good at working with people and coaching them and teaching them things. And which, I mean, I'm kind of glad we did it, even though we lost a lot of money, underline lot. But it helped us kind of form the idea for this radio show. It helped us form a lot of what we do today, because when we sat down and we talked with this outfit, and I'm not going to mention them, their name, but you look at it and you go, wow, they have all these materials. It would take us forever to build these materials ourselves. They have written books that they are actually, you can buy online, which I wish I would have picked one up and read it because it was terrible. But you're kind of in awe going, wow, they've got 30 books and this guy's got all these franchisees. And then you start talking to them and they, okay, I want to talk to some other people who own franchises like mine. Sure. Here's Frank and here's Bob and here's Susan and those aren't the people you want to talk to.
Talk to the ones who went out.
Exactly. You want to talk to the ones who either went out of business or you want to talk to the ones who they don't mention. But that's also kind of a struggle too, because a lot of language is you can't talk bad. If you're on the inside, you can't talk bad about the franchise. Is that pretty common language?
For sure. And a lot of people that exit the franchise, they will sign NDAs. So
I was gonna say
they can't disclose anything because they've made a deal most likely to exit that franchise. No, they try to, they'll make you sign a non-disparagement agreement, and there's a lot of question whether that's legal or not. But people are afraid to say anything. And so, when you start calling around people that have failed in a franchise, you usually don't get an answer.
It's always cryptic.
Right. Yeah.
It's very cryptic.
Well, even if most of them don't even answer the phone.
Right.
They're done and they want to be done and they don't want to answer any questions.
So the first house I sold in Lincoln was to a young gentleman that was just graduating from UNL, and he had been working for a franchise. He was a franchise broker is what he did. And he still does that. He moved to Omaha, and he would be a fun guest to have on here. Jacob's his name. But I talked with him a little bit about what he does. It was very interesting. And tying right in with all this, he might be a good future guest. We could talk about this off air, but it's kind of fun to talk about it on air, huh?
Well,
okay. So anyway, moving on. Go ahead. What?
I was going to say, I found a guy. He was like the franchise king or something like that.
I love it.
And I started doing research, of course, too late. This is when I was trying to get out of my franchise.
Okay.
And I was going through his website, and this particular franchise that we had purchased, he said, well, I don't remember the ranking system. Like, this is a solid investment. This is, and he ranked them all. And the one that we bought was, I wouldn't buy this franchise with your money.
On a scale of 1 to 10, it was like, oh, geez, it was less than, it's a -3.
Yes. That's what he said. I wouldn't buy it with your money. I'm like,
I remember when you guys did that, and I was thinking to myself, Shannon, of course, she'd worked for me when she was young, so I could see right away her leadership skills immediately. I would have, had I needed a coach at that time, hired her without having to have any franchise because just of her knowledge and knowing her. But I get when you buy a franchise, and I can make a pizza, right? But if I opened up Gary's Pizza down the street, I've got to do all the marketing, what differentiates me from anything else. So, I mean, I get the concept of, franchises totally. I mean, I remember when Seven Brew came in here, I thought, really? Another
do we need another
place?
coffee
Like,
joint?
this is crazy. And the first one was right up here by my office, and I would, I can see it from my office window. That's not true. I can see it when I walk to my car.
You can see the line from your office window.
Pretty
probably.
much. I was like, they were almost in trouble with the law because their line was going out into the street. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, but they just have a great system that works. And I'm curious about this too. So I'm very ignorant when it comes to franchises. You're quickly going to know. So you buy a Papa John's franchise. Do you buy the product, all your meats, cheeses, everything through Papa John's, or is that left up to you? How does that work?
Well, with Papa John's, they had their own commissaries.
Okay.
And so they were strategically placed throughout the United States, and ours came out of Des Moines.
Got it.
And so, that made it really easy to source the food. We didn't have to
Sure.
worry about going through outside, sources.
And it keeps the same standard throughout
Yeah,
the country.
for sure.
Right.
Well,
Makes sense.
and here's an interesting story. So when we were doing all of Troy's marketing, cream cheese was not a thing at Papa John's, right? You couldn't
Oh,
get
on
cream
pizza,
cheese on
yeah.
the pizza. So it was me and Troy sitting here going, we need to bring cream cheese to Lincoln. And not
Were you
even
able to?
Yeah, it took it was a
Yeah, it
task.
took a better part of probably 15 years, and
Wow.
finally the right corporate person was in the restaurant one day and I caught his
Tasted it
ear,
and
and the manager was there, and we convinced him that we needed to bring cream cheese in, and he okayed it. And
But
Well-
the hoops that had to be jumped through too was
Oh, I'll bet.
all these people had to sign off on it, but then the commissary had to start stocking it because you couldn't just run down to Hy-Vee and get some Philadelphia
Right.
off of the shelf.
Sure.
And so we had to go to the commissary, had to get them to start supplying it. Then we had to start buying it. And then once we got it in Lincoln, it wasn't all that easy to get it to go to Omaha.
yeah,
I remember when the first time I had cream cheese on a pizza, and we had people over, and we were going to order something. So I said, let's order from XYZ Pizza, and they have this great pizza with cream cheese on it. And I'm like, gross. Like that to me.
Yeah, it
sounded
sounds
gross
rough.
at the time. And that like, ew. And anyway, so I'm like, well, okay, also get a small pepperoni for me, just in case. And then I taste it, and I'm like, I think we threw that pepperoni away like 5 days later because that was the best pizza with cream cheese. So
Well, and in the process, we were talking to a franchisee. Was he in Louisiana, I think? And they did French dressing was their
Mhm.
thing on pizza.
oh,
And it's
interesting.
like, oh, that sounds rough. But that's a thing down in Louisiana.
Well, for the palate down there, it'd probably
Yeah.
be perfect. Yeah,
and all the all the hoops that he had to jump through, and
Yeah.
it was definitely eye-opening to say the least.
and when it comes to gawking food and franchises, there are different palates across the nation, right? Like in
Oh, yeah.
one part of the country, you have gumbo and everything down in Louisiana, and you're not going to have that in North Dakota. It's different, but I mean, with the pizza, it's basic enough. But for some franchises, I would think they probably give leadway a little bit for region.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
not.
that again, that's something. If we have a listener out there who's thinking about tying in or opening a franchise, are there local things that you need to bring to the market that the franchise doesn't offer?
Yeah.
And those again are part of that process of how do you, okay, we want cream cheese on a pizza, or we want whatever it is, a certain type of dog food, or whatever the franchise is that you want to bring to the market. You need to start asking questions to go, okay, this market likes this, or I see an opportunity in this. How do we go about bringing it? And those are important things to start asking when you're looking at bringing a franchise in. Because we, again, in coaching, we had some things that we wanted to bring in that no other coaching firm was doing. And one of it was software. Shannon does a lot of software building CRM system. We wanted to bring that as part of it. And at first they were like, well, we don't know. And then they realized, oh yeah, we could get on board with that because they're going to take, I think it was 4% or 5% of overall sales. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. So we're bringing in something new, and you're going to profit from it more than we are going to profit from it. So
Yeah.
again, those are all things that you have to take into consideration when you're looking at buying a franchise. Well, we have a break coming up here. So quick thanks to a sponsor, Lincoln Airport. I talked about this last month. My mom is coming. She's actually coming tomorrow. But she lives in Denver. She's coming out to help watch my grandson. And we went on and we looked at flights going into Omaha from Denver. And it was like $208. Looked at a flight coming into Lincoln, and it was like $207. It was cheaper to fly into Lincoln than Omaha. Saves me a drive, saves me the hassle. Even if I have to park my car, which I would, and run into the
Sure.
Omaha airport, that's going to cost you $20. So before you look and just automatically go to Omaha, check out Lincoln. FlyLNK.com. .com. Is that right? Lincoln Airport, or just Google it.
Yep.
Just Google it. I can't remember if that's their website.
Good
I'm
old
pretty
Google.
sure it is. So you're listening to the 402 Business Insider, Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Once, and we're going to have more about franchising when we get back. And you're listening to the 402 Business Insider, Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. This segment sponsored by The Cabin Virtual Indoor Golf. Franchise opportunities are now available. Just call me.
Liar, pants on fire.
But we're talking with Troy Post from Pet Once. And one of the questions that I have are, what are some of the warning signs? So if somebody out there is thinking about opening a franchise, what are some of the warning signs that go, let's talk to the franchisor about this before I sign a contract?
Well, I think, that's a
Multi-loaded question.
There's a lot of
multi-loaded question. But there's, one of the things that I look at first is, how long has this company been around? Is it a stable company? How did it start? Is their corporate leadership, strong? How long has their corporate leadership been in place? Because, if they have a lot of turnover at the corporate office, that's usually not a good sign, because, it takes a long time to plan things from, that view of things. They're looking at things years out, where a franchisee is looking at things months out. And so if you got a CEO or a marketing person, changing every year, that means they're starting over every single year.
Yeah.
And that can be challenging.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
I've always thought my worry in franchise, I never really considered buying a franchise, but as I think about the process of buying a franchise, I would also, having owned my own business for 38 years, when I needed to pivot or change or whatever, I could do it very quickly. Like I was in my own canoe out in the lake, right? I kind of think with franchises, is it kind of a little more like trying to turn the Titanic around out at Pawnee Lake? I mean, that would concern me. And another question I've been thinking is, let's say I wanted to start off and I buy a franchise and it's a pizza franchise and I can get the territory of Southwest Lincoln. And before I'm able to afford all of Lincoln or another chunk of Lincoln, somebody else buys that chunk. Is advertising and how you advertise and marketing controlled a lot by the franchise, or is that left to you a little bit? Because if the guy in Northeast Lincoln has 3 times the budget I do, I'm wondering about that.
So usually the structure is you pay a royalty and then you pay a marketing fee. And that marketing fee, is for corporate to do marketing, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, you're usually required to spend so much of your own money.
Okay.
And, some franchises spend that much, or some spend more. In a market that has multiple franchisees, a lot of times what happens is a co-op is formed and everybody pays into that co-op.
Oh, makes sense.
And it works pretty well.
That's how I would want it to be done.
Right.
If I were in that situation, for sure.
Yeah. If you own 3 stores and Troy owned 2 and I own 1, you'd put in for, a percentage for each of your stores, $3. He puts in 2, I put in 1.
Got it.
So it's all equal.
Well, I want to put in 1 and you put in 3. But anyway, so you did marketing
For Troy, yeah.
For Troy, right? Yep. So were your hands tied? Was there guidelines you had to follow?
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine so, right?
Yeah, there were.
So
massive.
You came up with a plan. Did it have to be presented to the franchisor first?
Supposed to be.
Yeah, that's, they want it approved.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
And sometimes,
because brand is everything. I mean,
it is. And I understand, like, as a franchisor, when you look at something big, like a Papa John's or a McDonald's or whatever it is, you don't want people just going rogue, right? You don't want McDonald's to go, you know what, we're going to put Lutefisk on the menu. Wait, hold on.
Well, that's one angle. Another angle I'm thinking of is, what if somebody at corporate goes rogue and says something stupid and it affects everybody? Can that cause a problem with the franchise?
That never happened. Yeah, we had the founder of Papa John's came out hard on Obamacare, and it was
Oh no.
oh yeah,
Like
and
nationally, probably, if you're
yes,
talking founder of Papa John's.
and here's the thing:
that
is
couldn't be good.
everything that he said, I personally, as a business owner, agreed with. And he didn't say anything that wasn't factual, but
50% of the population disagreed.
exactly.
Or more. Oh man.
And
So
we
do you
saw
have
that
any-
in sales instantly.
You did. So question on that. Is there any recourse for you with something like that? Or you're just stuck?
No, not really. You
Yeah.
know,
Especially when you could see the numbers right away if the data
Yeah.
was just right there.
And
which that was such a tumultuous time
It-
anyway.
it was, but in the one thing I will say is that it actually kind of sparked a new opportunity for us, because that was when we really started going local on our marketing. We had brought in,
Got it.
I don't remember, did we bring in Johnny Rogers first or
Yeah.
Brendan Stein? Maybe it was Johnny Rogers.
first. Yeah.
Because we wanted
Perfect.
people to know, and this is what's tough about a franchise, is people look at a franchise and they think Ray Kroc just must own every McDonald's on the planet. No, it's probably some guy here in Lincoln. It's just like Troy.
Yeah.
It lives right here in Lincoln. He owned all the Papa John's. He's
Yeah.
a local guy, even though it's a national company. And so we decided to let's make it where it's not John Schnatter, it's Troy. And so we brought
There you go, makes
local
sense.
celebs into it just to make it local. And it actually worked
Yeah.
exceptionally well.
Well, and if you think of McDougal's, several of them in Lincoln are owned corporately and then several privately as a franchise. That's very interesting.
McDougal's?
Well, I don't know if we can say their name.
Oh, got it.
The Duck.
Took me a second. I said it already. So if the lawsuit's coming.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I don't ever know the rule. Listen, we're going to head to a break, and we want to shout out and give a quick thanks to Barry Law for sponsoring the show. Barry Law is a nationally recognized for representing veterans and individuals in complex legal cases, known for standing up for veterans and clients who need strong advocates when the stakes are high. Barry Law, trusted legal representation with a mission to serve. Learn more at jsbarrylaw.com. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing. We're talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Wants, and we'll have more right after the break.
IN.
We're back on the 402 Business Insider. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Wants. This segment is sponsored by the UPS stores. And this segment, this is always my favorite segment. This is 5 takeaways. This is where we give our listeners 5 things that they can take away and either apply to their business, or if you're looking for a franchise, some 5 things to think about when you're before you sign a contract. So basically, what is something? What's one thing that you wish that you knew before signing in to a franchisee, or what's one piece of advice that you would hand forward to somebody who's looking at starting a franchise?
Well, I think, you think that you're ready, and most of the time, you're not ready. There's questions you can't answer, and you have to realize that there are going to be those questions, and you're going to have to think through that. And sometimes, the best thing is to say is I don't have that answer, because customers will ask questions, and you don't have that answer, and just tell them you'll get back to them. So there's just things that are unknown that you should expect. And I don't think everybody expects those. They feel like that, they've been trained, they've been taught everything, if it's a good franchise. And, there's a lot of things that you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I have to use my recent memory here, and I am in my lava rock years. Some people call it the golden years, but they got the stones mixed up.
They don't feel golden.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So I would think this would help a lot, though, because you worked for the franchise you purchased before you purchased it. So I would think you would have some insight that would have helped in my mind, I would think. I mean, if I was going to buy a franchise, I think I would want to go, if it wasn't in my town, I would want to go there and maybe work in it for a while and see the process. Did you find that comforting a little bit? I mean, I would think you would, but
yeah, I did. I knew the business. I'd been in it as a manager, as an employee. I knew how to make the pizzas. I knew how to make all the products, and so yeah, I mean, that was a huge benefit
I bet.
because I answered a lot of questions and figured out a lot of answers that I didn't know. And so, we were able to create a lot of systems around, all that feedback. And so we had really good systems, and being able to work in that business helped me to understand what the employees go through too.
Yeah, and looking through, your second takeaway was systems matter. So let's talk about systems when you're getting ready to buy a franchise.
Yeah, there has to be strong systems. You can vary in those systems a little bit, but if you don't have a plan, it's probably not going to go well.
I would think that would be a huge benefit, actually. Especially if you'd worked there, so you knew the system worked, right? I mean, obviously, it does if they're franchising all across the United States. That would just be huge. You don't have to come up with your own systems. You don't have to test them. It's done. I would think that'd be good. And then that comes with leadership, as well. And that would be, well, as we learned in the previous segment, that could be a challenge sometimes too, I guess. But and speaking of leadership, so do they come to your store fairly frequently to make sure you're obeying all the rules? How does that look?
Well, it depends. The franchise I'm in right now, no, most of it's communication through Zoom or phone calls. But
Okay.
With Papa John's, they were very structured. They had certain people that came in and did inspections.
Kind of
You had a
audited.
franchise business director that called you every week, sometimes multiple times a week, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. They were very, very hands-on.
Is that good or is that bad? Because I could see how that could be good, and I can see how that could be a nightmare.
Well, it's both. A lot of that I learned, as my leadership style got a little better, was that I needed to form better relationships with these people instead of fighting back on everything. It needs to be a give and take relationship because they have a job to do and they have to report back to corporate too.
Sure.
And so, there's ways to handle it. In the early years, I probably wasn't the best leader and probably spoke, all my opinions, and I should have probably held back a little bit.
And that, to me, that's one of the drawbacks to owning a franchise, because we had the same thing. We had to have a weekly meeting of how things are going and after a while, it felt like, who owns this place? Am I working for you or is this my business?
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah. And
Big time,
that was
yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah, and then it can also be helpful. I mean, it's just going to depend, right, on the leadership and what's going on and who that person is, what their personality traits are and everything. Huh.
Yeah. And speaking of which, we're kind of jumping right through them. Your fourth point was you're still running a business. So, I mean, again, there is so much that you have to do, but there's also, you have to run it as a business. And I get it. Well, corporate, the franchisor is saying you need to go do whatever it is. You need to go out to the Women's Expo and have a booth, or you need to go do these certain things at some point. Well, I have to staff it and I have to man it. And if it's making money, great. If it's not making money, you kind of have to dig your heels in.
Right. And for the franchisor, they also, I mean, they can give you all these processes, in your case, a commissary for all the product that you need and everything, but, they can't sell you leadership for you personally. You still went from either the manager or GM to now owning, and the buck stopping with you, so to speak. So that's a challenge as well, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not the same in every market. Every market's a little bit different. And so a lot of the ideas that they give you or tell you, tell you things to do come from other markets, and that may not work in your market. You may have to figure out something that works better in your market.
Yeah, it could be different. It's different in Valentine than it is Lincoln, I would think. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing with Papa John's was a great example is you had some places where, like the university store, the one closest to the university, was making a killing. Well, Lincoln, and this is such a fascinating stat to me, Lincoln has more pizza restaurants per capita than anywhere else in the country. And so
okay, say that what?
There are more per capita, there are more pizza restaurants in Lincoln than any other place in the country.
Really?
Yeah, let that sink in for a second before you buy a pizza franchise.
Well, it's taking me a minute here. I'm like going, we like our pizza, I guess. In
Yes,
Lincoln,
we
huh?
do.
That's interesting,
Isn't it? Yeah, because there's a franchise called Jets. Have you ever eaten Jets
No.
pizza? That's a fat kid special right there. When
The
Troy
trash can.
when Troy sold, what did you have, like 2 years before you get back into the industry?
Yeah.
And I go, Troy, open a Jets, man. I'll be your number one customer. And he's like, yeah, I'm cool.
I'm not going back into that. Been there, done that type thing.
Well,
huh?
and I think that's something you have to really look at too, is the saturation and saturation of the market. And a lot of times the franchisor, doesn't look at it that way. And so if there's a lot of people providing your product, maybe that's not the right franchise for you to get into, or a similar product, because there are markets like Lincoln that are very saturated. And this is a great test market. So a lot of people come in here and they test stuff. They call this one of the markets that's recession resistant. And so that's why a lot of companies come in here or push, buying markets in Lincoln and Omaha also. And so, yeah, saturation is one thing I learned later on, because we'd be like, why is this store not doing so well? This one is, like Travis said. And a lot of times it had to do with how many pizza places were in that market. So you're fighting everybody's fighting for a piece of the pie. And if there's more people getting a piece of that pie, then you're going to get less.
Yeah. I think about Seven Brew coming in. I keep going back to that,
Sure.
But coffee, I wonder if we're the number one coffee place too. There's coffee
It
shops.
feels like it.
Yeah, everywhere. And it's interesting that they would come in here with yet another one, But of course, before I became a realtor too, I was always driving around town going, who are these idiots that are building more apartment complexes? They're going to be empty everywhere, and they're full. It's crazy to me. So I guess you don't know what you don't know. But.
Well, I heard a comedian once say he went to the bathroom at Starbucks up in Seattle, and there was another Starbucks in there. I mean, that's something that you really do. Like Troy said, you really have to think about.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm just in my mind, I'm just going through all the places I've eaten pizza or gotten pizzas from in Lincoln, and there's a lot.
Yeah, there is. There's
I hadn't really thought about it. Yeah, interesting.
And there's so many other franchises out there that haven't even made it to this market yet. If somebody out there does want to open up a Jets Pizza, by the way, I'm watching. I got my eyes open.
So to your earlier comment, just to clarify for the listeners, and then of course selfishly just for me. So this is Lincoln, Omaha, a test market for all types of franchises, or pizza in general?
Well, most food franchises.
Food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. We love our food.
Isn't that interesting?
We love our food.
Look
at Travis and I. We love our
yes,
food.
I know. The fifth takeaway you have, which I think is brilliant. Exit planning should start on day one. That's something that I wish I would have known before we got into a franchise. So let's talk a little bit about, if you're planning on getting in, taking a look at how you're going to get out.
Or even any business.
Yeah. That's true.
Really?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. It's crazy. I have a friend who is wanting to sell their business, and they had a valuation done and found out kind of, I don't like to use this word necessarily, well, how worthless their business is or how little they're going to get out of it. They just happen to do a lot of bartering.
Mhm.
They could do a lot of things that they wanted to do by doing that. Never really just thought about then what does that do to the valuation of the business? And this went on for years. So it's something any business can take away.
Right.
But I suppose especially that'd be written into the franchisee contract. Of course, I'm sure. And you're going to sign an NDA and everything when you leave, I would think.
Yeah. And, sometimes there's fees, that you have to pay the franchisor.
To get out?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
You have to
wow.
pay them a percentage of, what you sell it for. Fortunately, with Papa John's side, I didn't have to do that. But, there's steps. A lot of the franchisors, they want first right of refusal. And almost always they refuse because that's not a market that they want, or like with the franchise I'm in right now, they don't have any franchise stores or any stores at all themselves. And so they're not into running stores. So, as far as exit planning, I think the biggest mistake people make is they don't do good financials or financials at all. You need to hire a good accountant, and accountants are not that expensive. Hire a good accountant, make sure you have a balance sheet when you open, make sure that make sure that you have a P&L that, at least, you're having done every quarter so you can show, the profitability of the business. And so you know how profitable your business is. So you know what to work on. But a lot of businesses, they do well, they think, because they're paying themselves, they're going to live in a decent life, they got money in the bank, but they don't have anything to show on paper.
Yeah. Sure.
And at the end of the day, blood and sweat aren't worth anything to somebody else,
Yeah.
and that becomes
It's your
personal
problem.
a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Makes sense.
here's a little something that I wish we would have done differently when we bought a franchise. We put it under the transformation marketing flag because marketing, coaching, it all made sense.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, was that a mistake?
Exiting. Yeah.
Because when we got to a point where, we were hemorrhaging money because of all the fees and whatever else, but we couldn't bankrupt the business and close it because we would have had to have bankrupted our ad agency, which was doing exceptionally well. And even though we could have done it, now there's that black eye going, oh, that company went broke and now they're under this flag.
Yeah.
So we were stuck. And that was a huge error on our part. So yeah, if you're thinking about buying a franchise or opening a business, talk to a lawyer, talk about opening up a separate LLC, making sure that you're protecting other assets if it doesn't work out. We hear people all the time go, burn the ships, just open up the business and burn the ships. Well, guess what? You might be on the wrong island, right?
Or the wrong boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Worse. Yeah.
And if you can't get out of it, you could be in a whole lot of trouble. So you got to abandon that mentality of burn the ships because, yeah, I get it. You have to work and you have to work exceptionally hard, but you also have to think about an exit strategy and you got to know it going in because it was a question that we didn't ask because we're not going to fail. There's no way we're going to fail.
Yeah. You're not going into it with a failure mindset at all.
It's not even something that comes into your brain because this is going to be successful because you're seeing all the things that you want to see, but you're not planning for the things. It's the old Mike Tyson. Everyone's got a plan until they get hit in the face.
Yeah. I use Chat GPT, and a lot of times when it spits out what I want, then I'll just say, what are the possible failures in this thought? What are some negatives in that? Just
that's a great idea.
Kind of go the counter from the backside of it. And it's amazing some of the stuff it'll spit out. Sometimes I'll sit there and go, oh,
I
much
never
dumber
even
than I thought I
of
was, but it's actually incredibly helpful to do that.
That is because
Be like the devil's advocate.
ChatGPT is like a yes man.
Right.
They're
It
there
gives
to help
you what
prop
you
up.
ask. Yeah, and makes you look better, but then go from it for the other.
There's a little
Come to it
bonus.
from the other angle.
It's 6 takeaways today. I love that
Sorry about
idea.
that.
I have never even thought about that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, we have a break coming up here. I want to thank Nebraska Farmers Network, the sponsor of 5 Takeaways. Nebraska Farmers Network exists to support Nebraska farmers and ranchers through education, advocacy, and connection. It's about strengthening agriculture and the communities that depend on it, keeping Nebraska farms Nebraska owned. Go check them out. Seriously, they do such cool work. It's NebraskaFarmersNetwork.com. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, you're listening to the 402 Business Insider. We're talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Once. We should probably start talking a little about Pet Once as well. But when we get back, we will be back right after this break.
Again.
And we're back on the 402 Business Insider, sponsored by Integrated Behavioral Health Services. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Once. And this is also, I love this segment. It's This Needs an Adjustment, sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic. Business is about constant adjustment. That's no matter if it's a franchise, if you're solopreneur, whatever it is, there is constant adjustment. And sometimes you just have to do something to get things back in line. So either in all your business experience, what is something that happened that you realized, I need to make a change here. I need to adjust what I'm doing. Does anything pop to your mind?
Yeah, multiple things, I remember at one time, things in the restaurant weren't, or the restaurants in general weren't going as well. It seemed like we weren't, doing the right things. Product quality wasn't consistent, and I couldn't figure out, well, what's the deal here? Because we've always used the same systems, and it worked, but what was going on is there was a new generation of employees that were coming through our stores, and I had to learn to communicate differently with them, and we had to restructure a lot of the training. We had to go to more of a updated visual training, something that was more technology driven, and that was a change that took a while, but it was well worth it. And as far as marketing, Travis knows this, that what worked yesterday may not work today. And
Right.
so you have to really be able to move really fast and understand that and take the risk,
Is that easy to do when you're under the guise of a franchise that has all these processes set up? I mean, what was that like? That seems like that could be a little more challenging, but I mean, I get some of what you're saying. I mean, they're working for you. You're right there. Either you just show them or you get it on a text or a YouTube video, because that
Mhm.
generation gets that. I'll never forget, my daughter had a class assignment, a group assignment in high school. She was a senior, and they had to work together on a group project, and they all came over to our house to do that, and they're in the kitchen. And I'm in the living room, kind of open concept, but I couldn't quite see them, but I could hear them, or in this case, not hear them. And I walk in there and I go, "What are you guys doing?" "Well, we're doing our group thing, And I go, "I haven't heard a word in here. Are you guys texting each other?" They're like they're in a dining room table, but that's that generation. So maybe that is easier. I'm just thinking, does the franchise just say you have to train this way, or you had a lot of wiggle room, I guess, probably in that case.
Yeah, Papa John's a lot of times worked with us, on some of that technology too.
Cool.
And eventually they provided it, but yeah, there was a big disconnect. It was like all of a sudden we just hit this stop, and it was like, okay, these people don't understand things the same way. They want to see things on their phone. They want to see their schedule on their phone. They want to be able to clock in on their phone. They want to be able
Yeah.
to do this,
Whole new
and we've
world.
got these antiquated, outdated computer system, and when Trav started doing our marketing, we still had these we still were using like DOS computers. I mean, they were green screens, and you had
Oh
to
my
hit F
God.
keys and all
Had a
kinds
pong.
of stuff.
They had a pong game back in the break room. No, I'm kidding.
So, I mean, our technology was really, really old, and it took a long time to get it upgraded. And by the time we had touchscreens, those touchscreens were pretty much outdated. And so,
Yeah.
the technology changes really fast.
So
But
fast.
yeah,
And that goes back to the systems, making sure that, if you're looking at a franchise, making sure the systems are good and up to speed and current, because
And do they keep them up to
Yeah.
speed? Right. That'd be another good, important question.
and I couldn't imagine the nightmare if you were a franchisor, if you had a McDonald's or a Burger King or whatever it was, trying to keep everybody up to speed on, technology. Because think about how fast it's moving just for you as an individual.
Oh, yeah. My mom at 89 years old showed me how to deposit a check at my bank with my phone. Like, some of us younger ones in that situation don't even catch up.
Way to go,
quickly.
Mom.
I was like, "Oh God, okay, thanks, Mom. That was kind of cool."
Is-
But I like where I order my pizza now, my favorite place. What I love of it, I could do it on my phone, and I can make all sorts of adjustments to it. Yeah, I want that specialty pizza. Can you do that with a white sauce? I know it sounds weird, but I don't have to call and ask. It's like, oh, it's an option here on my phone. And first off, I love the pizza I get, but I do love that the way I can order online on my phone is so simple.
See, and I've seen that text to order, and that really wasn't a thing when
Probably not. No.
Yeah.
It is
Uh,
now.
But I see
Again,
where,
talk about the
and they'll
progress.
give you like a 10 or a 15% discount. I have still yet to do it, just because I'm sitting here going, how exactly does this work? Because
Mhm.
when I go, and these are typical pizza buyers, you have several groups of pizza buyers, and you're going to have people who are just looking for discounts, right? You have people who are brand loyal, but also looking for discounts, and then you have people who are just brand loyal.
Yeah.
So I'm that middle group, right? So I will go to my favorite pizza joint, but the first thing I click on is specials. What's on special?
Yeah.
Because okay, you want
Deal
2
of the day type
pizzas
thing.
or a free whatever. Oh, I'm going down that road. I'm brand loyal, but I want a deal. And so how does that work in texting? I want this deal, and then maybe I just need to jump in and do it, but I haven't done that yet. And as a marketer, we never did that with Papa John's. So,
Yeah.
But something that I was thinking about earlier was we were talking about territories, and when our coaching franchise, we had the territory, which is basically the southern half of Lancaster County. Everything south of O Street was us.
Oh, wow.
Right?
So they had another one north of, okay.
No, they didn't. There was one in Omaha, and then there
Okay.
was us,
Okay.
right? And so they said, hey, we have somebody who's interested in the other half of Omaha, but we want to offer it to you first. So it's going to cost whatever the price was. And they send you in a panic, right? You're like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have a competitor. My franchisor is now my competitor. And if I don't come up with, and I mean, it was a number, it was tens of thousands of dollars plus all the extra fees, double the fees, everything else. And Shannon and I sat down and talked, and you're kind of in a panic. And then you go, hold on. I'm not making any money. We're not
Why
going to
is
make
this
it up
even a
in
conversation?
volume.
Yeah. Right.
And so we ended up calling our franchisor back and said, you know what? If you have somebody, sell it to them, and I'll give them this one for free. That's literally what I said. It's like, this is not working.
You're going to love this. The very first time, this isn't going to say much for me as a realtor, so please understand that this really did make sense. The very first home I went to look at, it was a referral from our lead team. It was a couple on the East Coast wanting to buy a house here. Their son was a professor here, and they wanted to be able to come here and visit for long stretches of time without having to do an Airbnb. Anyway, so they find this house. They go, it's a real fixer-upper, but we fix up homes all the time. We're investments out here. We have like 30 rentals, but go look at this house. So I go look at this house. I will just quickly say, when I left this house, I wanted to leave my clothes and everything on the porch, run to my car, and maybe walk through a car wash. It was so bad.
This wasn't the house you showed me, was it?
No, there were crackheads in there. I mean, I'm not even going into it. It's too much. Anyway, so I get back. So I call them that evening. That was our setup thing. He says, well, what did you think of the house? And I said, I said I wanted to burn my clothes when I left there. I go, as a matter of fact, and this is an honest God truth, my clothes right now are on my porch. I did take them off before I entered my house, just for fear of, honestly, you would not believe what I stepped. It was just unbelievable. Anyway, so he goes, well, what would you offer for the house? And I said, the cost of the lot minus demolition. Honestly, so I get it. Sometimes things just are worth nothing.
Yeah. You and I went through a couple houses like that.
Yeah. This guy buys these houses.
Oh,
it's
I know.
amazing what he does. But I looked at him and I'm like, okay, since I had COVID really bad when it was first out, very bad. And so if I'm in a house that has mold, I know it instantly, and it's just not good. And Travis like, do you want to go in the basement? And I go, I don't even want to go 10 feet near this house anymore. I'm done. I'm out. Crazy. You didn't buy that one.
Nope, I did not.
Yeah, I always like it when he says, I'm going to do this here, this here, this here. And, I can't even see what he's talking about.
He's got vision.
Yeah, he's got great
Which is
vision.
awesome.
Sometimes. Well, I think we have a break coming up here. So,
yeah. Hang with us through this break, and we'll get back on the other end. And we want to thank our sponsor, Ascend Chiropractic, for this needs an adjustment. When you need an adjustment in your business, right? And in your body. So do it before things get out of hand. Total chiropractic care for adults and pediatrics, rehabilitation, acupuncture, cupping, weight loss. The list goes on and on. To see their list of services at Ascend Chiropractic, schedule an appointment. You can go online to ascendchiropracticne.com. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider, Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing. We're talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Wants, which we are going to start getting into here.
we will. We might have to have him come back to talk about Pet Wants.
He may not want to come back. I don't know. We'll see. And we'll have more right after this break.
AN.
Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Gary Tharnish with Travis Filing. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider, sponsored by Wyuka Funeral Home and Cemetery. Today, our guest is Troy Post, owner of Pet Wants, and it's time for Unexpected Impact. Business is full of surprises, some good, some not so good. Troy, tell us about something unexpected that happened in your business, how you reacted to it, and what the impact was. A lot of things come to mind.
I know it.
That's the trick of it, right?
Well, I think, going back to what we talked about earlier with Papa John's, when we had some controversy, I mean, it wasn't just once, but it was a couple of different times. And, as a public company, the reaction is so swift. I mean, overnight sales just dropped 25%. So what do you do in that instant? You just start brainstorming, you start talking to other people, especially marketing people, because you realize that, you have to get out and try to get out in front of it and say, this is not who we are. We're a local franchise. This is not what we believe in, and try to get that message out there. And it takes a while, and you're going to have to spend some money to do it. But in the long run, it's going to be better, because, if you don't do something, you're going to lose money.
Right. And in the short term, you're bleeding. Money's not coming in. But
yeah. And, that's why it's important too, in the good years, to try to save some money back in case things happen, or if you need to, invest in some capital improvements or that kind of thing. But those situations also provide a lot of flexibility, because a lot of times the corporate office is going, do something.
Yeah, do anything.
Oops.
Yeah.
Because they're in a panic too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What I think from my side of it, looking at, because I was with Troy for all those years,
Right.
And when something disastrous happened, and there was 2 or 3 of them that were, like on the Richter scale of
Jeez.
Disastrous.
Yeah.
And the first thing Troy calls me, which is really cool, as a separate business owner, that I'm one of your first phone calls to go, okay, we have to solve this. But the tough part is because something disastrous happened, sales are on its massive, sharp downward trajectory. And the first thing your marketing guy says, we need to spend more money.
Yeah.
That I've always been curious, because that's always been my, like when Schnatter came out against Obamacare and sales started tanking, and the first thing I said is, we need to spend more money. What goes through your mind?
Are you crazy? I'm sorry, I
Right.
spoke for you.
Yeah.
With what? That'd be the other thing. With what? From where?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a challenge to hear, but, you also have to come to the realization that you have to do something. And, seeing what marketing has done and having that history behind you, you understand that, hey, we have to do something, and you have to use some of your trust, like Trav, and, we came up with some great different local things that kind of shifted the focus and got people focused on us as a local business. And, it took a couple of years to come out of that, but I know it would have been much, much worse if we didn't do something.
Yeah. Locally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get on the offense.
Yeah, you do. And you have to
Cases
get
like
out
that.
in front of it, and you have to make it local,
Right.
local. I thought the funnest campaign that we did is when we brought Brendan Stye on to do, he was our local guy. He was the idea guy. So every time corporate came out with a new, whatever it was, a Frito pie or cream cheese or a cookie, it was always Brendan Stye's idea. And so we got Troy, and we had Jen,
Perfect.
and then we had a couple of other people. Jen is Troy's wife.
Okay.
So we had Troy and Jen, and they were just dressed like regular employees. And then Troy always opened it up and go, the business really changed when we hired Brendan Stye, because he brought all these ideas. And they'd be having this, like little meeting, and he goes, and he'd be just eating a bag of Fritos. And he'd go, you know what? Why don't we put some of these on a pizza? If we did this and we did this. And so it was always his idea.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had people talking about it. It made it local, and
Yeah.
people forgot about that.
Yeah.
Putz
They
that
always
was
say
running
all
the company.
politics are local. Apparently all pizza is local too, right? Is that the deal?
Well, and you want to buy things locally.
Sure,
You want to support
exactly.
a local business.
Yeah.
And that's something, when people are looking to buy a franchise, is how much opportunity do you have to make it local, to make it you, and
Yeah.
not just the franchise?
Well, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know in business, right? So just when we were talking with Nick the other day, and he's like, hey, we joined a co-op, and part of the deal was we had to put the name of the co-op into our business. But when we did so, everybody thought we sold out to a national company. So, the unexpected, talk about an unexpected impact. I mean, there's all those things that you have to look at. That was Shannon's idea. That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Shannon comes up with the ideas. I take credit. So it was my idea.
It's your idea,
But it did work.
sure.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
My favorite one, we have a little bit of time to go into this. My favorite commercial. So I'm sure everybody listening knows who Brendan Stye is.
Yeah.
He's got to be 325 pounds, solid muscle. Yeah. So we did a commercial where this guy, he was wearing a K-State jersey or an Oklahoma jersey. I can't remember which.
It's K-State.
K-State. And he walks through the front door, and then Brendan Stye comes in like Superman style. The whole thing was he still had the football mentality, and you see a purple jersey and you got to smash him. And so I called a buddy of mine, and he's my pastor, because we could get him at the drop of a hat. And this guy weighs 150 pounds soaking wet.
Lord.
Stye smashed him. I mean, Superman style, off the top rope, hits him. We thought Jason was going to be running a wheelchair with a crazy straw. We thought there's no way this guy's going to survive it.
Do you sit in the back row at church now?
Yeah. Oh man. It was so much fun though. And that was probably one of the most successful commercials that we had done.
Yeah.
But that was in response to one of those boneheaded moves that
corporate made,
and
you had to bring it local.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So it is. When you look at buying a franchise, see how much local you can put into it.
Right.
Because I look at a lot of franchises. I know you looked at a lot of franchises after you sold Papa John's, going, this is important. How much local control do we have over our marketing?
Well, and speaking of that, let's talk about Pet Wants.
Yeah.
Right. That's your new gig. So that's a franchise, correct?
Yes, it's a small franchise out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
So small, meaning not national?
Yeah. So, this is something I didn't realize at the time when we were getting into franchising. I just didn't really think about it. A lot of the franchises are not publicly traded companies.
Okay.
And so they're just owned by, individuals, groups, private equity, owns a lot of different franchises. And so in that situation where if it's owned privately, they don't have a lot of the responsibilities that a public company does to report, all the financials and that kind of stuff. And so you kind of go into some of these not knowing everything. And so, that was a little bit of a challenge, but, me and my wife have always loved pets, particularly dogs. So we would probably have cats if my wife wasn't deathly allergic, but we've always liked dogs, and we thought, hey, let's do something with dogs. And so we looked in some different stuff, and we came upon Pet Wants, and talked to some people about it, and that's how we got started in it. We're at the point in our lives where we're like, okay, we did well, and we can risk a little more at this point in our lives and maybe do something a little more that we're passionate about at this time. And so we got into Pet Wants, and it's been a lot of work. I tell people I forgot how much work it was to start a business.
Yeah.
Because you're in it all the time. And my wife helped me with Papa John's. We worked with each other every day, and we're doing that now.
So Pet Wants is over just south of 48th and Nebraska Highway 2. I'm always going to call it Highway
North.
2. Is that
Yeah,
you're north
yeah.
of there?
Yep.
Okay, so north of there, where exactly? There's a gas station with another pizza place in it, and the opposite side is a strip mall. I'm trying to picture.
Yeah,
where.
we're kind of right behind that strip mall. The strip mall is right behind the gas station.
Okay, I know right where you are.
Yeah, it used to be.
Used
like,
to be a Godfather's
Yeah.
in there.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Now right where that is.
He's at the end.
Great.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
can people order online from you, or?
Yeah, we have a website. We have an app. They can order it to pick it up. order it for delivery.
Is it just petwants.com or something? And then you
yeah,
or Pet
just
Wants
or
Lincoln or
petwantslincoln.com if they
Okay.
want to go directly to it. And yeah, they can order there. We have people that order on there, and I'm the delivery guy right now, so you get to see me when I deliver it.
awesome.
So-
Well,
There you
let's talk
go.
more about it when we come back.
Well, we want to thank Lincoln Coin and Bullion for sponsoring the show. Have you guys seen the price of silver?
It's like
It's
90 something.
Yeah, it's like
Crazy.
$95 an ounce. Like this time last year, it was 28, 29 bucks. Yikes. I wish I would have bought more of it way back when. But you need a trusted local source for precious metals, rare coins, and collectibles. If you're thinking about buying into gold or silver or platinum or palladium or, whatever, all those copper, all those crazy things, go talk to Lincoln Coin and Bullion. They'll help you. They'll help you figure out a long-term strategy. And they'll let you know, is now the time to buy? Is now the time to sell? Go have a chat with them. Or go online, LincolnCoinandBullion.com. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Once, and we're going to talk a little about Pet Once more when we get back right after this break. And we're back for the last segment of this Sunday edition of the 402 Business Insider. Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish. This segment was sponsored by James Arthur Vineyards, talking with Troy Post, owner of Pet Once. This last segment, let's just talk a little about Pet Once, and I'll give my personal ringing endorsement. So I have a charcoal lab. Shannon has a charcoal lab. And we bought this dog in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And we brought her back. And when we got her here, she developed allergies. I mean, it was insane, the amount of allergies, the goopy eyes, constant sneezing. I mean, hair was falling out.
Because of the regional change, you think?
Yeah, because of the regional change.
Interesting.
And so we're sitting here going, my gosh, we just
Yeah.
bought a dog that needs a plastic bubble.
Right. Yeah.
You
no
just
kidding.
scratch the bubble just to keep her from going through all these miserable allergies. And so I went to Troy. He had just opened the store, and I go, okay, well, let's test this franchise here. Let's put it to work. And there was I'm trying to think of what the allergy test was.
Oh, an intolerance test. Yeah.
Intolerance test.
Mhm.
And we got it back, and it was like, it's like, green is no allergy, yellow is mildly allergic, and red was very allergic. Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was everything.
Yeah, about every protein you could think of, about every material you could think of. It was probably the worst one I've seen.
Yeah. It was bad. I mean, this poor dog, she was just miserable.
So how's this dog now?
So we got her on, it was I think it was a salmon food, but then there was a sprinkle that went onto her food. And what's the active, is it enzymes?
Yeah, total enzymes. So what we try to do at first is try to eliminate as many of those triggers for those intolerances as we can. We can't all the time eliminate all of them, but we try to eliminate all of them, or most of them, so the dog can eat. And then the enzymes help rewrite the gut, because that's where all these intolerances are coming from. A lot of times it's coming from, modified ingredients or fillers or that kind of stuff, or, we don't know where, but the enzymes we know work, and probiotics also. And they help make the dog more comfortable over time. It takes a little bit, but we rewrite that gut system, and hopefully we have less reactions.
Yeah. And fast forward 2 years, no allergies.
Oh, that's so cool.
None.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's
You reprogrammed the gut.
Yeah, totally reprogrammed her.
Yeah.
It is incredible. If you weren't a believer in the food and whatnot going into it, you're definitely a believer coming out of it.
Yeah. So Troy, you and Jen have dogs.
Correct.
Jen is your wife, right? God, just kind of did that by memory. So
Yeah.
surprised
There you
of
go. Look at
myself.
you.
Wasn't that great?
No notes or
Brad, is it-
anything.
Oh, Travis, sorry. Yeah, no notes. Yeah, exactly. That's always risky. Anyway, I have a cat, so I assume you do cat food as well.
Yes, we do.
Okay, any other animals? Like, do you do fish food, iguanas, all the other stuff? Or pretty
No,
much
just right now, cat and dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. And you sell the food. Do you sell, if I come into your store, can I buy a toy for my cat or any other stuff? Or is it pretty much just the food?
We have food. We also have a selection of different treats. We have some toys. Most of them are dog toys.
Okay.
And we do have some cat treats and a few cat toys and that kind of stuff. 3 different cat foods and 7 different dog foods right now. So
What differentiates your cat or dog food from other places? Is there anything, or do you, like in Travis's case, you really obviously help them so you can tailor needs, but are there some basic, like, I just want to get my cat the same food all the time, and what differentiates that from anything I can buy on the street?
So kind of going back a little bit, we got into this franchise because we were looking for different food for our dogs, and we just lost a dog, and we thought, there's something wrong, with some of these ingredients, and we started doing some research in the food we were using, and we were like, sure enough, yeah, these ingredients aren't good. And so we searched for food. For a while we fed fresh food, but we were like, let's look for a dry food. And so we came upon this Pet Wants brand, and so we started feeding this food, and it just totally changed our dogs' lives. They had dry skin, itchy, flaky. They didn't even have hair on their stomachs. Now they have tons of hair on their stomachs. They don't itch like that. They're not flaking. And so they said, there's something about this. So we did, a little more investigating into it. And that's kind of how we got started in the franchise. And the food, the first thing they do is they eliminate any corn, wheat, or soy. And the reason they do that is because those are the 3 ingredients that are most likely to be modified. And genetically modified ingredients tend to have a bad reaction for dogs and cats. And so they eliminate all that. There's no corn, no wheat, no soy, no fillers. And they cook the food at really low temperatures. That way it seals in those ingredients. It's not pulverized. And so it cooks out all that nutrition. And it's made in small batches. So they can third-party test it and make sure it meets those high standards.
Sweet. I need to come there for my cat. My cat has what you would think is like a dandruff. And the vet is like, oh, she just doesn't clean herself really well. Well, she spends all the time cleaning herself when she's not kicking me off the couch where she wants to sit. Cats are a whole nother thing. I'll have to come check that out. I think it might make a difference, obviously.
The difference in our dog is night and day different. I mean, we really, in the beginning, it was one of those, I never had the conversation with Shannon, but her allergies were so bad. It was this dog may either have to go back to Pennsylvania and find somebody who will take her there, or ultimately something else, right? A decision you don't want to make, especially for a healthy dog that just has these problems. And so, you want to talk about a believer in this, because I've always been the guy who, motor oil is motor oil, right? You just feed the dog and everything's going to be, it's not that way at all. So, you should go check them out. 48th and Highway 2, Pet Wants.
Sounds great. Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you today. Well, and it was nice to meet you. We'll have to have you back sometime. We want to thank the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring the show. They bring businesses together, create connections, and help companies of all sizes grow and succeed in Lincoln. Running a business is hard enough. You need someone in your corner, not someone that pretends to be in your corner. The Lincoln Chamber of Commerce advocates for local businesses working on policy issues and helps make Lincoln a better place to do business. There's only one true business organization. Join today at lcoc.com or just call Becca. You've been listening to the 402 Business Insider. Troy, once again, thanks for coming in and talking with us today. Everybody go check out Pet Wants over from 48th and Nebraska Highway, or Highway 2 as I know it. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing. Next Saturday, we're going to be chatting with Tony Goins, owner of Capital Cigar Lounge in Lincoln and now also in Omaha. So check in with us next Saturday.
Have a good one.